I, a 32-year-old female, have a leg disability that has worsened to the point where I can no longer work. As a result, I've been staying at home with my children for the past 4 years. With my children becoming more independent, I found myself with a lot of free time and spent most of it sitting around. However, I have a sewing hobby that I learned from my grandmother when I was 13, so I started using my free time to sew. Unfortunately, my husband would often make fun of me, calling me grandma or granny, and making jokes at my expense. It was difficult to deal with, but I chose to ignore him. One day, a friend saw some of my sewing work and suggested that I open a website to sell my creations. I was hesitant at first, and my husband's opinion was that no one would want to buy grandma's junk. But with my friend's help, I started selling my work, and was pleasantly surprised by the positive response. In just 1 month, I made over $200 to $300, and I have been investing more time and effort into my business for the past 3 months. However, when my husband saw that I was making money, he started asking me to buy things for him, make reservations at restaurants, and even fix his car. When I refused, he would remind me that I had money from my sewing business and should use it to pay for his requests. I declined every time, but he would get angry and say that as my husband, he deserves a share of the profits. I told him that he not only mocked me for my sewing, but he also doubted my potential. I do all the work for my business, so why should he expect a share of the profits? He argued that, as my husband, he is entitled to half, and I should seriously consider giving him a percentage or stop sewing altogether. I laughed, thinking he was joking, but he left the house in anger and came back later looking upset. His friend even called me to scold me, reminding me that my husband already does enough for me to have time to sew, and therefore, he deserves a portion of the profits. But I still refused. Now his family is pressuring me to share the money, but I am standing my ground. Am I the only one in the wrong here? No, everyone involved is at fault. While my husband is unsupportive and belittles me, I understand that he works and provides for our family. However, our marriage should be a partnership, and it doesn't feel like we are in this together. If that is the case, perhaps it is best for us to end our marriage and find someone who is more supportive and understanding. My husband may be a bit of a jerk, but why is my income only mine? Yours and his are both of yours. I bet? No, he's a huge, massive, raging, unsupportive idiot. I'm with the wife on this one. Though I have to say, if my partner were as disrespectful as OP's, then I would have been gone long ago. He has no respect for her or her business. He's just sticking his grubby hands in the piggy bank now that she's making money. How much would he be paying for before and after school care for their children so he can go to work? Her business is a home business that she does in addition to being a stay-at-home parent. Is he paying her for her job or investing in her business? It seems like he's asking for things for himself. Fix his car, buy a watch, take him out to a restaurant. Not the household, so not the idiot. He mocked, laughed, and called you names. But now that your hobby is making money, he wants to spend it for you also, because his friends and family are all in your personal business. His pressure didn't work, so he's trying to use friends and family to pressure you. Do you two even like each other? I don't think so. I am 20 years old and currently attending college. In one of my classes, there's a girl who's on the autism spectrum. I'll call her Melissa. I had never interacted much with her, but we recently ended up in a group project together. Our group divided itself into duos to do each part of our project, and I ended up with Melissa. Another group member told me to only give Melissa the easy task due to her condition. Not wanting any trouble, I went along with it and gave her only the easy task. We were working in the library, and she very quickly finished her job. I was still working. A couple of minutes passed, and she mustered all her courage to ask a straightforward question. I'm already finished here. Can I help you? I tried telling her I could handle it on my own, but a few minutes of silence later, she spoke again. I don't like group projects. Every time, the group never lets me participate properly, like I'm incapable. It upsets me. Her expression was blank as she said it, but she was clearly upset. I empathized with her at that moment. It must be frustrating to be treated as lesser because of how you were born. I then asked for her help and passed some tasks on to her. Although her expression was blank, I sensed her eyes spark with joy. So with her participation, we finished things much faster. The next day, we submitted our part of the project to the group, and they got mad at me for giving her a hard task she couldn't fulfill. They called me selfish and cold-hearted, although Melissa clearly wanted to participate. Am I the idiot? Melissa is attending college. Melissa passed the same entrance boards that you and everyone else did to get into that college. This means that she's perfectly capable of doing the work necessary to get a degree. If she couldn't, she wouldn't have passed the entrance boards. Entrance boards. It seems that you're the only one of her classmates that has looked past her autism and allowed her to be an actual student. You're the only one of her classmates that has allowed Melissa to determine what her limitations are and not force limitations on her. So no, not the idiot. The taught mindset of people with disabilities not being able to do certain tasks is harmful, dehumanizing, and excludes them from being helpful or a part of the team. People without limbs can run marathons, people in wheelchairs can play basketball, and so on. Just because someone is visibly disabled does not mean they're not capable of being intelligent, talented, or useful to the team. The other teammates are the idiots because they're stereotyping, being judgmental, and choosing to treat others without respect or seeing them for who they are. Easy tasks are insulting. Also, it seems like Melissa completed the task perfectly and competently. If she did tasks badly and they had to be redone, which created a bunch more work for everyone, that would be a valid reason to stick to giving her easy tasks in the future. But also, that has nothing to do with autism. You should evaluate people based on their performance, not their diagnosis. Thank you for being kind. I don't mean for this to sound overdramatic, but Melissa will likely remember you for a very long time for actually seeing her. My late wife passed away 6 years ago. I have 2 kids, Adam, who is nearly an adult, and Leah, who is a teenager. Their mom inherited a necklace from her mother, who inherited it from her mother. It's a tradition in the family to pass this necklace down to the daughters. My late wife gave me the necklace to keep, and then gave it to Leah when she was legally an adult. No one knew about this except my current wife. Well, she told Adam about it, and he barged into my office the other day asking what his mom had left for him. I was confused. I asked what was wrong, and he brought up the necklace. I explained the sentiment behind it, and told him I planned to give it to his sister before she moved out for college. He demanded to have the necklace since he too is our child, but I said it was gifted to his sister specifically, not him. He went on about favoritism and whatnot, but I told him it's a tradition that involves only the daughters in the family. I told him it's his mom's wish, and he should be respectful of it, especially when he has a ton of her stuff. He got enraged and called his mom and me misogynistic idiots for agreeing on, let alone carrying on this misogynistic BS. I said I was done arguing, and he went upstairs and stayed in his room after yelling at his sister. He refused to eat or speak to either me or Leah. My wife says I should give it to him to keep the peace, but I declined. Not the idiot, but your current wife is. She is literally asking you not to do something your late wife asked you to do. Did you ask her why she told Adam? Does your current wife not like your daughter? Why would she tell Adam when your daughter isn't even aware? What a lovely surprise for your daughter that's completely destroyed. Now that special moment of receiving a gift from your late mother is tarnished with Adam's entitled attitude. The first thought that came to my mind is that she's jealous of your daughter and doesn't want her to have something from her mom. I would really question your wife's actions and have a private conversation with your daughter to see if she's treating her well when you're not around. Additionally, I believe your wife should apologize to your daughter for her actions. It seems like the stepmom wanted the necklace, was told no, and is now telling the son as payback. Without more background information on the family dynamic, I would say there are some manipulators in the family who need to be told in no uncertain terms that their efforts will not work. It's also important to remember that these types of traditions often serve as a way for women to have a valuable asset to sell or pawn in order to escape from bad situations. If your daughter ever needs to leave an abusive relationship, that necklace may be the thing to provide her with the necessary funds. This is not something that your son would understand without it being explained to him. Men often don't have the same innate concerns for their safety. Have a conversation with both kids about the more nuanced reasons for these types of family traditions, such as this being a way for your late wife to look out for your daughter from beyond. I, a 28-year-old woman, recently moved into a new neighborhood. All of my neighbors are lovely, especially my next-door neighbor, a 37-year-old man. Bless his heart. Wink wink. He is married and has 2 kids. I noticed that he has been looking towards my house for a while. So far, I have caught him doing it twice. He had his binoculars with him and was looking at my living room. I hate confrontation, so I closed the curtains and went about my day, but it started escalating. The other day, he was peeking at my backyard where I was sitting from his balcony, and his binoculars fell into my backyard. I looked up and he was gone. He knew that I had seen him. I took the binoculars and put them inside. In the evening, he knocked on my door, asking how I was and whatnot. I rolled my eyes, but kept it civil. He then brought up the binoculars and said they must have fallen in my backyard earlier that day. I was like, I wonder how that happened. He said something about his kids probably messing with them and asked if I could go get them for him. I said I have them, but I won't give them back unless his wife comes and gets them herself. He looked at me shocked and angry and said that these binoculars were his, and they were special because he had them from when he was in the military. He also said that his wife had nothing to do with this. I told him I would return them once his wife showed up. Once his wife showed up and asked for them, all he had to do was send her over. He threw a fit, saying he couldn't send her because she would misunderstand the situation. I told him there was no misunderstanding if their kids were the ones using the binoculars, and insisted I wouldn't give them back until his wife got them. We got into an argument, but he kept his voice as low as possible and then left looking furious. He's been complaining about me wanting to stir drama and demanding I return his binoculars to him and leave his wife out of it. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Wow. Honestly, good for you for standing your ground. The whole situation is creepy as heck. Alternatively, to avoid potentially involving the police, you could wait until he's not at home and take the binoculars to his wife yourself. You could even describe her husband's behavior. Make this moron squirm. Your neighbor is a creep. He knows he's doing something wrong and he's trying to get away with it. I'm sure other neighbors have noticed. If you see Creepy's wife, try talking to her. I wouldn't be surprised if he has been caught peeping on other neighbors in the past. This may be why his wife will misunderstand the situation. Get some cameras and close the curtains facing their house. Then, if he watches you in the yard again, snap a photo and call the police. Better yet, take the binoculars to the police station and return them there. Let them know you're uncomfortable with his voyeuristic behavior and want to avoid personal contact. Let the police handle it as they see fit. If they end up visiting or contacting him, that might discourage him. It might also inform his wife of the situation without directly involving you. If the situation escalates, you also have a record of his behavior. Unfortunately, unless he was entering your private property to spy on you, there's nothing you can do about it in terms of law enforcement. Looking at or recording anything within view of your own or public property is perfectly legal, even with devices to assist, like binoculars or cameras. It may make people uncomfortable and often causes confrontation, but it's legal. If you don't want to be seen or recorded, it's up to you to block others' views of you. I, a 28-year-old male, have a friend, Bill, who is 29 years old, and we are part of a larger group of friends. We have known each other for at least 10 years, and some of the men and women in our group have even ended up marrying each other. The point is, we have all known each other for a very long time. Bill has always displayed narcissistic personality traits, especially in his past relationships. He is very condescending and thinks he's better than everyone else because he has a well-paying job, owns his own house and car, and all of that. In comparison, some of the other guys still live with their families. In his mind, they haven't grown up and he's better than them. It's usually easy to ignore because he's charismatic and brings new people to the group. In past relationships, he has been really awful, giving girlfriends a checklist of things they need to change to be with him and commenting on their appearance. However, because a lot of this happened years ago, I think most of us hoped he would grow out of it. He always describes all of his exes as crazy, and we usually believed him. Some we could confirm were crazy because we met them, and we just believed his stories about the ones we didn't meet. Then his new girlfriend, Sarah, entered the picture. They started dating a year ago, and we all got to know her. She is awesome, very down-to-earth and friendly. She has basically become friends with everyone. Well, Bill asked Sarah to move in with him 6 months ago, and she did because she saw the relationship getting more serious. Then 3 months later, Bill randomly broke up with her. When asked what happened, he said he just hated that his house no longer felt like his own because of all of her stuff, which everyone thinks is ridiculous. Unfortunately, with the current housing and rental market, Sarah had trouble finding a place to move to that would meet her needs. She found one place and took it, but it wasn't available until September 30th, so she had to continue living with Bill. From talking with both of them, I know that Sarah wanted to handle the situation as maturely and friendly as possible, but Bill has done nothing but be antagonistic. He has done stupid things like blaring the TV when he knows she's trying to sleep. And he has also done cool things like calling up a booty call and putting her on speakerphone to talk about when they could hook up, knowing that Sarah could hear it. One time when the guys were all hanging out, Bill kept complaining and trying to sound like the victim in the situation. I finally said, "Stop trying to play the victim. No one here thinks you're the victim in this. If you could have been mature about the breakup, there wouldn't be any victims. This would have just been a relationship that didn't work out. But you made Sarah the victim with all of your actions. So just stop complaining and get over it." Everyone else agreed with me, but Bill got angry and left. Am I the one in the wrong for how I handled it? Not at all. But if you all agree that Bill is consistently in the wrong, why don't you just remove him from your friend group? I know you guys have a history, but another 10 years will go by and Bill will still be a terrible person. So why bother with him anymore? Get rid of Bill and keep Sarah. I agree. Also, does Bill refer to himself as an alpha? I have someone in my life who acts like this, makes bad decisions, and jumps into relationships that should not happen. It always blows up in his face, and he acts like the world is against him. He always claims that no one wants to listen to him or that people secretly hate him. It gets old. Bill will probably continue to act like this for a while, or possibly his whole life. I think you did Bill a favor by giving him a dose of reality. However, narcissists live in their own little world. I doubt he'll believe anything negative about himself. Also, he's likely to hold a grudge, so he might alienate himself from your group of friends. Bill is really no one's friend except his own.